Sean Haney here with RealAgriculture.com, and I'm with Wheat Pete Johnson. How's it going today, Pete?
Awesome, thanks, Sean. Just looking forward to getting out in the field and actually doing something.
So that's how you describe your winter, is not doing very much?
No, doing different things. Not at all in the field, okay? Just a little different aspect.
Okay, so Pete, we're going to have a real controversial discussion today. When we were out on the Tech Tour Live Traveling Roadshow, you made some rather derogatory comments about hoe drills. What do you have against a hoe drill?
Would I ever say anything derogatory? Come on, Sean, you know me better than that. Hoe drills, Lord help us, they have all sorts of things wrong with them. The biggest thing, to start out right up front, all drills, hoe drills, disc drills, you name it, they are all nothing more than controlled spill devices. So if farmers really want to do something for agriculture, design a drill that's like a corn planter. You know, the Max-Emerge corn planter was developed, I believe, in 1972.
It's a long time ago.
Exactly. So how is it 30, 40 years later we still are using 1965 technology to put cereals in the ground? Because nobody cares enough to actually develop something that works better. But hoe drills in particular, two things that I have against hoe drills. One, well actually three. First is they do too much tillage. So a lot of Western farmers like to say they're no-till farmers. Once you go through with a hoe drill, that's pretty much like cultivating. You're no longer a no-till farmer. You're now a full tillage farmer. Second thing is that they're too wide a row spacing, and with a lot of hoe drills, not all, some of them are getting better, but with a lot of hoe drills, you can't go closer than 10 inches because of trash flow. I want narrow rows. I want to shove those in, maximize use efficiency out of the sunlight, get bigger yields. But last, and the biggest issue by far, is with a hoe drill, you simply can't get accurate seed depth placement. And the reason is that you don't sense the depth where the seed goes in the ground.
So how much variance can we get in a hoe drill on that depth? Like what is the range? Like, is there percentages? Is there any studies that have been done on that?
So I certainly have gone out and done some digging behind them, and people tell me they're set the drill at 1.25 inches, and I can find seeds at 2 inches deep, and I can find seeds at 1/4 inch deep, and that's just too much difference. I walk into farmers' fields at heading time or at harvest, and I look at the size of the primary head to see if everything's uniform. Corn, you look at the size of the cob. You want every cob the same size. I want the same thing in cereals. Man, I go to wheat fields, barley fields. It's all over the map, and part of that is that differential in depth. You have to sense the depth control. You have to put that depth gauge wheel right beside where the seed goes in the ground. If the soil's perfectly flat, then you can do it that 10 inches, or used to be with hoe drills that they just sensed on 2 wheels. Hoe drills have made some pretty significant improvements with hydraulic down pressure and depth gauge wheels behind, but you're still out behind. You're not right beside.
Well, clearly you feel a little bit better about the disc drill, but one of the troubles with the disc drill in Western Canada is hairpinning. How do we guarantee we're actually getting into the ground dealing with all that trash?
Yeah, so if your disc is the right size and your soil is really firm, you should be able to get ledger plate action. But I've talked to a lot of Western growers who say that disc drills simply don't work for them. So a couple things. First, I'm really intrigued by this Australian technology where they're using water, high pressure water, low volumes but extremely high pressure, to slice through the residue, and that way we'd alleviate that hairpinning. So I think that's cool technology we haven't looked at. And the other one is the cross slot drill out of Australia, New Zealand, which the English right now, the UK farmers are just suddenly finding out about and doing some cool new tests with. We've played with it a little in Ontario, but not very much. But I'm really intrigued to see if that wouldn't be a way to solve that hairpinning problem, because it's different technology. Mostly for us, we don't have to worry so much about hairpinning. Maybe our soils are drier, I don't know. And I really think disc drills, for a lot of guys in Western Canada, they are using them and they're not having the hairpinning problems. I'm not out there enough to solve it all, but I'm pretty intrigued with how we might make that work.
Do you agree with the speed that some disc drills are being pulled at?
From what perspective? Do you think they're going too fast?
Well, I think a lot of guys have experimented and tried with disc drills because they know they can go faster. They're marketed to go maybe over 7 miles an hour and things like that, and cover more acres in the day and not disturb the soil as much. Do you agree with that speed?
Yeah, so most of our stuff would suggest that if you're going over 6 miles an hour, you're probably starting to push the limits of the disc drill, because you get into more bounce, right? And the bounce is what I'm trying to avoid. They can go faster than a hoe drill, sure, but there's more wear points and there's more power involved. There's lots of different aspects. At the end of the day, I want growers to manage wheat like a crop, the way they manage corn, the way they want to manage canola. It's not something you throw in the ground. And until we get that uniform seed depth placement, I'm not nearly so worried about spacing in the row. We're putting so many seeds per foot a row. I don't think spacing's a big deal. But man, get that depth uniform, emergence uniform, so that every plant heads at the same time. I think that's quite critical.
You know, a lot of our hoe drill manufacturers have really, well, and some of the disc drill manufacturers at that too, have really focused on size in Western Canada as opposed to placement. Do you think, you know, based on some of your thoughts, do you think we're going to start to move that needle and that's going to change?
Yeah, it's all about acres per hour. And that's one thing I laugh at, because guys, they want to go to a 120-foot seeder versus a 90-foot seeder, partly because I keep pushing them to get things planted more quickly. Well, they can go to a 120-foot seeder if they go to 12-inch rows versus 10-inch rows, because they're pulling that many shanks. Like the shanks end up being not so many more shanks. Oh, Lord, talk about beating your head against a brick wall on that one, because I give up so much on the width that I haven't really gained. Are we going to go narrower? Come on, Sean, we're never going to go narrower. That's just not the way it's going to work. And unless...
No, but do you think that we're going to see a focus, instead of the focus being on width or drill size, moving more to the focus being on improving the placement technology to go with that width?
Yeah, and absolutely. It's already happening, because the hoe drill manufacturers have hydraulic down pressure now. They have individual opener depth control. Like, they've made some moves, but we're a long way away from a max emerge corn planter. And that's true whether it's a disc drill or it's a hoe drill. Disc drills are better, mainly because I can get one wheel there beside, so they're definitely better, but we're not where we need to be. The technology will improve. It has to, absolutely.
Okay, Pete, thanks a lot for joining us today, and I know we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. Have a good day.